This video is very long. It is 32 minutes long. I did not want it to be 32 minutes long, but here we are. So, I am putting timestamps in the description so that if you want to skip to any sovereign country or state, you can just click in the description. Country is Somaliland. Or maybe it's not a country. Depends who you ask. Well, on December 26, 2025, Israel became the first and only country to recognize Somaliland, which got me thinking about all those other countries that almost nobody recognizes. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun, no it wouldn't, to talk about every single unrecognized country? Well, I guess it would, no it wouldn't. So we are now doing that. What is an unrecognized country? An unrecognized country is a country that is de facto independent, whether you like it or not, but their independence is ignored by most people. For example, when the USA got independence, the UK did not accept it. So the USA just used a tiny inch of bloodshed and more to secure its independence. Now, to show all these unrecognized countries, I'm using a game. Wait, what? A game? Yes, it's Pax Historia. A story game that, not a story game, a role-play game where you can chat with other countries in diplomatic chats and carry out any moves using the power of AI. This is not a sponsorship. This is not a sponsorship. I repeat, this is not a sponsorship. This is not a sponsorship. Anyway, however, today I'm just going to be using their map to show you all these unrecognized countries. Without further ado, let's begin. First, I'm going to take a look at all of the unrecognized countries in a brief note. I will talk about them more independently on each slide as we move on. North America has no disputed countries, but it does have some territories that are disputed. The Zapatista territories. South America has no disputed territories, making the Americas basically the most peaceful region. But I guess South America has a ton of border disputes. Check out my video on that. But if somebody didn't recognize a country, that would be stupid. Anyway, going up here to Europe, Western Europe is fine until you go to Eastern Europe. Of course, you have Kosovo, one of the most popular ones, but then you have this one, Transnistria, these two sensitive things, and this thing, and also this thing, and this thing. Then we are entering the very, very sensitive region. We have luckily escaped to the very, very sensitive region and are now moving to another sensitive region that is less sensitive but still sensitive. Now we are moving to this other place. Now we are moving to the continent of unrecognized countries. Oh, that's sensitive. That flag is considered sensitive. That's okay, I'm not sorry that. Then Somaliland. Oh look, it's detecting. I'm getting bored of this. Oh, that's all? Okay, good. Then you have the annoying case of countries that are recognized by the UN but are not recognized by other countries, and that definitely couldn't be this country. It couldn't. No, it couldn't. It couldn't. It's time to look at them all in detail. First, we're going to start with North America, the continent I live on. with the Zapatista territories. What the heck are the Zapatista territories? I have no idea. No, just kidding, I do. The Zapatista territories fly this symbol flag of a red star in the center of a black background. Yes, that's simple. Anyway, this isn't a country that wants independence. This is more of a rebellion that seeks greater autonomy. What does this mean, and why am I showing it then? It's just a rebellion. Well, it kinda... Okay, it's better if I talk about what it is. It is a Native American rebellion seeking greater autonomy in these territories that are mainly Native American. And funny that has a lot of overlap with the former Guatemala that lost that territory. Anyway, the Zapatista territories don't want independence, but they have greater autonomy. Okay, so the best way to say it is, this is the state of Deseret. Have you heard of it? Me neither, because according to the USA's federal government, it never existed. But it did. It was a government that controlled all this land, but the USA did not recognize it because it took away a lot of land from literally everything, and also the USA saw no benefit in it. Anyway, as the USA saw no benefit in it, it went poof. But this one is different. The Zapatista territories want greater autonomy and have greater autonomy. According to them, they're not states. They are a country like state that has greater autonomy in the federal structure, but is still not that much of a autonomy and is not independent. Of course, Mexico City does not recognize this, and whether they like it or not, it still has its autonomy. Next is Kosovo. Yeah, Kosovo. So Kosovo, why do I keep saying it like that? Kosovo. Kosovo is, I guess, Kosovo. The country has this flag. Why does it want independence, and who doesn't want independence? From Serbia, obviously. Couldn't you see that? Now, Serbia, no, like Kosovo. They, were part of Yugoslavia, and they, and in Serbia and Montenegro, it was not Serbia, Montenegro, and Kosovo. Well, why does Kosovo want independence anyway? Albania. That's why. Now, Kosovo and Albania are majority Muslim, while Serbia is, well, majority Christian. The only other mainly Muslim area is Turkey, but that's mainly in Asia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, excluding their Republika Srpska. Anyway, the UN. The UN. The place where countries meet. Now, what does this mean again? Well, if you want to be a country in official rights, you gotta be recognized by the UN. And the UN recognizes 193 countries, 2 observer states, and 2 non-states. And 1 supreme country that is not a state. It's confusing. Yeah. And if you want to apply, their council states that 5 countries must accept you. And these are the USA, UK, China, France, and Russia. And while the USA, the UK, and France accepted, Russia and China do not, which is sad for Kosovo. Next is Northern Cyprus and Cyprus. Now, Cyprus is part of the UN but is not recognized by Northern Cyprus or Turkey. And the reason is because this is actually the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Plot twist. There is a religious divide on the island. The north is mainly Turkish Muslim, the south is mainly Orthodox Christianity of the Greeks. Now, why? Well, there's this large border wall that runs through the entire nation of the UN, made by the UN, and, because Turkey got annoyed by the religious divide and invaded and put their own puppet government. I don't know what else to say. If you don't understand that, then what? Next, I have quite a few. They are Transnistria, Abkhazia, South Ossetia, Donetsk, and Luhansk. Now, what the heck are these? Well, they are mainly Russian puppet states. Yes, I said it. Well, officially by the UN they are. So I'm following. I promise. In this video, I am not supporting any country's independence. I am just simply noting them to you. They are supported by Russia, if not recognized by Russia, and the EU does. And the EU does think Abkhazia and South Ossetia are Russian occupied. Now, Transnistria actually thinks it's part of the USSR, which is non-existent. So that's interesting. You see statues of Lenin in Transnistria everywhere, which is interesting. The name Transnistria and Transnistria is banned, so if you say it, you get a fine, which is weird. Just try not to think about it. Whoa, what's next? Not the very sensitive region. Okay, let's not look at that map and instead look at this map. That's good. Now, this map shows the recognition of Israel and Palestine. In the blue, people that only recognize Israel. In the green, people that only recognize Palestine. In the purple, people that recognize both. Yeah, we're done here. Wait, what's Israel? What's Palestine? Why don't they recognize each other? Read it on Wikipedia. It's too sensitive. Well, surely this part's gonna be not messy. Okay, so all I really know about this, because it's that messy, is that this is the flag of the army trying to unite Myanmar. And then this is all random commanders trying to separate it. Just read the Wikipedia article or any other article. I read it on Britannica, I think. It's so annoying. Just read it. Finally, proper thing. China and Korea. Yes, these are two countries that do not recognize each other. Wait, what? So there are two countries that claim to be the real China, and there are two countries that claim to be the real Korea. It's confusing. Now, notice how two of them are communist, and two of them are capitalist. And one of them is a boba tea addict. Now what is this? This is basically a Cold War divide. Communist China took over the mainland and Taiwan sits on an island. North Korea sits in North Korea, South Korea sits in South Korea. China is recognized by basically everyone. Why? Money, that's why. Well, the lesser known Taiwan, which actually wants to be China, is recognized by 12 countries. But hey, that includes the Vatican, and the Vatican's like, cool, right? Next, you have Korea, which is recognized. Well, both of them are recognized because they don't have like a one China policy or any stupid stuff like that. However, many countries still recognize South Korea. Syria only recognizes North Korea. Interesting. Amazing explanations must be stopped by this ugly thing. It's just a rebellion that somehow controls that region. I don't know what else to say. I honestly don't know anything about it. I knew that this rebellion existed, but I never knew that it actually controlled land. Now, basically, this is the island of Papua, similar to Papua New Guinea, and West Papua is more culturally connected with Polynesia, and that's their argument. The end. What's next? Ooh, the Polisario Front. And that is controlled by the country of the Sawawi Arab Democratic Republic, or the SADR. The SADR? They're SADR? Anyway, this is their flag. Reminds me of Palestine and Jordan. And then this is, well, their claim. What is their claim? Western Sahara, of course. This is due to colonial markings. The top of Morocco was colonized by France, while the bottom was colonized by Western Sahara. However, when they got independence, these two merged into Morocco. However, the SADR got sad and said that and pointed at the cultural differences between Western Sahara and Morocco proper and declared independence. Now, we can always turn to the United Nations, who obviously says, according to Morocco, that what? What United Nations? Nobody controls Western Sahara? Okay, so according to the United Nations, Western Sahara is controlled by nobody. It is a terra nullius. Nobody can have it. Huh? Now, the Polisario Front, although they claim all of Western Sahara, only control this part, and Morocco controls like two-thirds of it. Now, what is happening? So, I guess the reason is that they don't want to make Morocco angry, but they don't want to make the SADR angry. Morocco is part of the UN, the SADR is not. And Morocco and the USA and the Arab League all say that the Western Sahara buffer zone is Morocco, while the African Union and several other countries say the buffer zone is SADR. Mauritania used to be part of this argument before they just gave up all their claims. And we are just entering the continent of Africa, the continent of a ton of disputes. Yeah, those are all disputes currently. Okay, so I'll just go through them one by one. First is Ambazonia. First you wonder, why does this exist, until you randomly look at a map of British and French colonies and notice that Cameroon was French and Ambazonia was British. How did the Cameroon come to own this part? Well, Ambazonia, the British Cameroon, was split into two. Nigeria got this upper half, and Ambazonia joined Cameroon as a federation, where this one star flag used to be two stars and this green stripe. Because the deal was, if country A made a rule, then country B must approve it. But then after a civil war, where communist leaders tried to take over and failed, this federal country got scared and turned into a not-so-federal country with a very scary vote of 99.9, questionable. And meanwhile, Ambazonia did not recognize it, and even if they did, and even if Cameroon still went with it, Ambazonia argued that they actually have to approve it per the rules, right? But Cameroon ignored them, and Ambazonia randomly declared independence in 2016 despite not even owning any land. Until a ton of different rebel groups started taking over. Now, arguably, these are mainly uncoordinated rebel groups that do not really talk with each other it's confusing. Next is the Libyan National Army and Libya. Now these two recognize each other. They are part of the same country. They're two parties in the same country, but they control different land. This is an odd thing made after the Civil War. It's similar to Bosnia and Herzegovina and Republika Srpska or Austria-Hungary. But surprisingly, only the Tripoli government is recognized by the UN. This creates a paradox where Libya says both countries represent the country, but only Tripoli represents the country. It's crazy. Then you have this area, Azawad. Now I was confused when I saw Azawad because according to every single source, Azawad lost their independence due to French people in 2023. No, just kidding. 2013. Wait, that's even earlier, bro. Anyway, I'm confused why this is here, but I do know why this is here. This is definitely not a terrorist organization similar to the Afghanistan Taliban. This controls this region and plans to do random stuff in it. And the thing that's annoying, this is supported by Al-Qaeda. Don't worry, major countries have already sent support to Mali. This also claims a part of Burkina Faso and Niger, and soon want to consume everything. Now, finally, we have the CAR, the Central African Republic and the Central African Rebels. I couldn't really find enough information on this. All I know is that these guys hate this guy president, so these guys went into this place and took over, but then they pushed out. And then this is a random country that took advantage of the situation to declare independence. It's so confusing. This next one is so well known that it's gotten its own page in the ongoing part of Wikipedia. It is Darfur, the Rapid Support Forces of Sudan. As if South Sudan breaking away in a civil war and taking away 1/3 of the land of Sudan wasn't enough, Darfur also declared independence. Why? Well, Darfur has always had its own culture for a long, long time. An interesting thing is that when Napoleon was campaigning in Africa, the Darfur Sultan sent a message to Napoleon saying, "Congrats, hope you conquer Egypt," and all that stupid stuff. Then Napoleon kindly responded with, "Thank you, now give me all your soldiers." I don't know, I thought it was interesting. But then these cultural differences were ignored and voided when the UK started colonizing the area and turned it into a big fat Sudan. Darfur recently protested for independence, with Sudan kindly responding with a fun, good old massacre. So in return, Darfur started a civil war, and they're nearing Khartoum. We might have a West Sudan soon, but we also might have Middle Sudan, because a ton of other parts are declaring independence because they're taking advantage. There is a region that is shared by both Sudan and South Sudan, but considering the Rapid Support Forces are here, which their flag is sensitive apparently, the Rapid Support Forces now share this with South Sudan. Interessante. Now the reason I made this video, Somaliland. Now, don't ignore the government of Puntland and the Jubaland Dervish forces. Those are part of the Somali military, but since Somalia can't do everything apparently, they control parts of the countries for Somalia. Now, why does Somaliland want independence in the first place? Well, this was British Somalia, and this was Italian Somalia. Now, when independence came, they combined, you see. But Somaliland instantly regretted it because Somalia was being annoying. So they declared independence, which was easily done as Somalia was not stable and Somaliland was relatively stable. Then a civil war happened between Somalia and a ton of Al-Qaeda backed people and terrorists, and Somalia was dragged into the conflict as a third party. Now, the gray parts show the parts being that were conquered by Al-Qaeda's Al-Shabaab, and Jubaland, the green part, is getting pushed back, sadly. The Jubaland shown here, that was of August 27th, so yeah. And finally, the ones not in the UN, the March 23rd movement. I couldn't really find much on about this either. This is mainly just a movement started by Rwanda, and it's been found that it's basically Rwanda's army in it. I guess Rwanda kind of wants to colonize, but they've got a long way to go. The capital is all the way over here, annoyingly close to Brazzaville. Now that we are done with this video, no, just kidding. There are some UN members that countries don't recognize, which is also annoying. So you have UN members. There's South Sudan, South Korea and North Korea. Then there's China, Cyprus, technically Kosovo, but that's an asterisk since it's not part of the UN, but part of many organizations in the UN. Then you have Israel and Palestine. Don't get me started on Niue and Cook Islands, which are technically independent, but they don't want to be. It's confusing. So we already covered those, but we are going to cover more. Remember earlier in the video when I was foreshadowing Armenia, saying, surely no UN member would not be recognized by another. Armenia is not recognized by Azerbaijan. No, just kidding. Azerbaijan still recognizes Armenia despite having no diplomatic. Just kidding, they still have diplomatic stuff. But Pakistan does not recognize Armenia. Why? Because in the Nagorno-Karabakh War, where there was this former country of Artsakh, it was later annexed by Azerbaijan in 2023. Pakistan sided with Azerbaijan and responded by kindly not recognizing Armenia. And even though Azerbaijan recognizes Armenia, Pakistan still does not, which is confusing and weird. Next, we have Belize. Well, this one's kinda confusing. Guatemala claims the southern part of Belize, which makes up 2/3 of its territory. And Guatemala has So Guatemala says that it owns all of Belize. Yes, it owns all of Belize because the British just encroached on their land and conquered stuff. But then, for some reason, they have diplomatic relations with Belize despite claiming that they own it, and just subtly just claim the southern part of it. It's weird. Bhutan, being the landlocked wonder it is, does recognize every single country, but in the UN, of course, but does not have diplomatic relations with most of them, including China and the USA, the two most powerful nations. This makes Bhutan an interesting example that has never stated if it recognizes the People's Republic of China or the Republic of China. Niue and the Cook Islands, which are so small I can't even show them on this map because that's how small they are, technically, according to my calculations, are independent, but still have New Zealand citizenship. Now, they're similar to Palau. Palau, my good friend here, is like the Marshall Islands and Micronesia. The USA gives them the postal service, puts military bases on their land, tests nuclear weapons, gives them money, water, and the entire U.S. Navy. Similarly, New Zealand does everything else the exact same way for Niue and the Cook Islands, but it's different because they get New Zealand citizenship. To be fair, the US and Palau citizenship are exactly the same. They can travel in both countries freely, but but in New Zealand, the Niue and the Cook Islands don't want to join the UN because if they do, they will lose their New Zealand passport, and I guess that's important to them, so they stay. The USA and a ton of other countries recognize Niue and the Cook Islands as actually independent. There's also this weird instance of Tokelau, a region of New Zealand that claims a part of the USA, but New Zealand doesn't. And there can be a ton of different things inside the countries where states don't recognize states, although that's quite rare. Yeah, that's basically it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time for more Map Mark. So that's that's sad. Whoa, I didn't end the